And welcome to the We Like Sports podcast once again. I'm Peyton alongside with Ed in Columbus and probably a few more joining eventually. You know how that usually goes by now. But Ed, I guess this gives us a great opportunity in talking about what you were talking about with me earlier about the Cleveland Browns. Before everybody ends up joining in, you actually have your time to shine right now if you want.
Yes, our beloved Cleveland Browns, once again, stadium talks heating up. Now, I heard there's an announcement maybe coming early next week or sometime next week that with more details about the lakefront and the development, what the Haslams want to do with the Cleveland City Council and everything. And I remember back in 1995, I was 15 years old, and I remember when the Browns moved to Baltimore and everything. And, it's funny because back then, revenues by NFL teams were basically dictated by luxury boxes and stadium draws. And nowadays, with the TV contracts and everything, you wouldn't think it'd be such a big thing to have the stadiums because with the TV money and the revenue sharing that way. But once again, we're talking stadiums. We're talking Cleveland, Ohio. And from what I'm hearing, they might be rebuilding Cleveland Brown Stadium, as it's called now, was First Energy Stadium. But like I said, announcement a couple of days ago took that name off. So once again, we're back in that boat. I think I like what they're going to do. I will say one thing. If this rebuilt Cleveland Brown Stadium doesn't have a lid on top of it, I know this might be sacrilegious to the people of Northeast Ohio. But look, I'm old school, but I want a dome. I think it's good for the city of Cleveland, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, absolutely. Casey, your mic's muted.
Unmute yourself, Casey.
I said when Eddie wants dome, he gets dome.
Hey,
now.
See, that was a mute-worthy comment, though.
Why are you so tan? Did you get spray tan?
You talking
Your face burn. No, to Peyton.
Me? I was out in the sun on Saturday playing softball. Got some sun.
God.
And now it's 40 degrees in Cleveland, Ohio. And like Casey, that's probably enjoying 70 degrees this whole entire last 2 weeks.
So 90 degrees.
Yeah, see? But meanwhile, I'm looking nice and tan apparently. So shout out to not Peyton Vince, CJ.
No, you're like red.
Yeah, you should see my neck too.
You look like a lobster. Sorry.
But anyways, though, Ed, as you were saying, though, with the Cleveland Browns Stadium, I heard that like there is talks that if they do end up relocating or building a new stadium, that there's looking for another stadium in Columbus, Akron, Canton. All those stadiums are the ones that are kind of being talked about or thrown around. Is there any preference at all regarding on what stadium it would be? Columbus, I feel like would be, and I know it'd be right in your backyard, but I feel like that'd be way out of reach for a Browns fan to drive 2 hours away. But at the same time, though, it's still football in Ohio, and I think that's one of those that you have to just come to an agreement with almost.
I think you're right.
The Browns?
Points for that turn, Peyton. That'd be a negative point. Points taken away in my eyes.
Well, one thing about the Haslams, when they bought the Browns in 2012, they bought part of the Milwaukee Bucks 25%. And the Haslams have this worldwide view of the Browns. Like even with the media, they tend to go with, the national media. I know they got their insider with Mary Kay Cabot that they like, but it seems like the local media, they kind of sometimes shun out. They love the national spotlight, the Haslams. And I think they've always said this. They had the Orange and Brown scrimmage in Columbus, and I went to it in 2015 when we had Johnny and went through all that Johnny mania. But they do want to broaden the fan base even further for the Cleveland Browns. So I see Columbus as probably they're in their eyes the number one destination because they realize that Cleveland Browns, they are the best fans in the world, I think, when it comes to football. And I think that, Columbus, like to your point, a little farther down 71 than what, most Cleveland Browns, maybe season ticket holders would like. But let's be real. They would show up. One thing with Cincinnati, too, with the emergence of them the last couple of years, the Haslams don't want to lose ground when it comes to the Bengals and Columbus. Columbus is still a Browns town, and they don't want to lose that. I think if it was only for 1 or 2 seasons, Columbus, I think that would obviously be the farthest place they would go. I think it would be a strategic spot for them. Also, too, we know how to win down in Columbus, Ohio. OHIO. We win on Saturdays. It'd be nice to win on Sundays with our beloved Cleveland Browns because we do love the Browns in Columbus, Ohio.
And to even take it a step further, too, if that were to happen and they do go down to Columbus, does that officially make Cleveland a baseball town and you might actually end up having sellouts once again? Or is that still something that every fan will travel down to Columbus to watch the Browns and pack the stadium?
it pains me. I think Cleveland is a great baseball city. You look at their numbers when it comes to watching the Guardians on TV, and I know they're having some trouble with their TV deals now, but I think that, the one knock about the Guardians are obviously their attendance. I don't understand it myself. If the Guardians were in Columbus, I think we would go to their games. I don't know why they can't draw as much as they are. I know they're trying some different ticket packages and some things that they're doing, which I like. I think they're proactive on a lot of things. I don't understand that. I think Cleveland has always been a great baseball city. I think we all love baseball on this show. I think that's what makes We Like Sports podcast the best podcast in all of Cleveland, because for the love of baseball, it is not a dying sport. It is a great sport. So go out and cheer out your Guardians. I know they're not playing against Detroit tonight, but hey, we'll just beat them in a doubleheader tomorrow.
Hey, I'm happy with taking 2 with Detroit always, but I'm going to try something different here. And sweet shout out by Ed for our own podcast. That was a great plug, great Cleveland plug for all of us. Definitely appreciate that. But let's try something different here because we're talking about football. I want to end up just throwing out some topics. And if one of you guys, even to just tackle a specific topic, so be it. And then we could end up going into basketball and then we'll go into baseball because the NBA playoffs are happening. Casey was a little upset that I didn't have enough playoff action in my book with my rundown, but obviously we'll get there.
CJ wanted to talk about souvenir bats in stadiums, so we can touch that.
Yeah, I got a video of that too, in case if you were wondering what they looked like. We got the video to surprise CJ. But anyways, for the football talk, here's a couple topics. We could end up just going in a round table. Ed, CJ, Casey. I almost called you Peyton Vince just because I was looking at the name by you. But anyways, Packers and Jets are still at a standstill regarding Aaron Rodgers. The Vikings could potentially cut Dalvin Cook. Lamar Jackson had demands that were kind of met by the Ravens with signing Odell Beckham Jr. And then today's news, like Ed in Columbus wrote, Jalen Hurts finally got paid. Whoever wants to go first, go ahead and pick out a topic and just tackle it. And then we'll end up going into basketball from there or baseball.
I will take the last one. I believe. I personally hot takes other ones, but I want what Peyton thinks. I want to hear Peyton's view before I give mine. But
with Jalen Hurts,
Jalen Hurts. I want Peyton's view. This
the
his
one
view,
above in the corner.
what he thinks before I give mine.
I mean, honestly, it's just kind of showing right now with the NFL that there's going to be more and more quarterbacks that do need to get paid. You still have Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson still looming. I think at this point, if you're a Browns fan, you're kind of realizing that with the guaranteed money, if it wasn't Deshaun Watson, you wouldn't end up giving out that much guaranteed money to Deshaun Watson. I think the Browns, I wouldn't say necessarily made a mistake by signing him to a guaranteed contract for that long. But with guys like Lamar Jackson on the rise, Jalen Hurts, I'd rather pick out one of those two guys than Deshaun Watson, and he's been playing football more consistently before going back to last year when he served a 13-game suspension.
All right, so then I would say, what is the difference between Lamar Jackson and Jalen Hurts?
Super Bowl appearance?
Play quarterback.
But other play styles similar?
Yeah, definitely.
And I think Hurts is more of a physical runner because he's thicker than Lamar, and he hasn't had the injuries that Lamar has had, especially like the last 2 years.
Okay, what's the difference between him and Colin Kaepernick?
Between Lamar and Colin Kaepernick, or Hurts and Kaepernick?
Hurts Kaepernick, because if Kaepernick,
Hurts is a better thrower, I think.
Yep.
Pretty deep.
I think he's a more natural quarterback.
Yep.
You didn't give him after 1 year, right? They didn't give him the money, whereas with Hurts, I mean,
I think Lamar should get paid. I think they're foolish for not paying Lamar Jackson. Guys like Lamar Jackson do not grow on trees.
What about Fields? If they make the playoffs, the Bears.
I don't think Fields is that good at quarterback. I don't think he's a good thrower. I think Hurts is 10 times the quarterback that Fields is in terms of like throwing. But like Hurts took the leap when he got A.J. Brown. Fields' best receiver has been Darnell Mooney.
All right, so then what about Deshaun Watson? Peyton brought up. Who would be the Browns quarterback if we didn't go with Deshaun Watson's path? What would be what we're looking at?
I think we'd be looking at a reset after another bad year for Mayfield.
But then are you looking at somebody in the draft now?
I'd say maybe C.J. Stroud or Bryce.
What
do you picking that high?
What do you prefer
this year in terms of quarterbacks? I prefer Stroud to Bryce Young.
Well, I'm at situational wise with the Deshaun Watson trade or year after it.
I prefer having Watson. I know what Watson is. I think that last year is more of an anomaly we have a whole track record on Watson and what he is. Right, the numbers don't back up that that's what Deshaun Watson is.
And to actually go like a step further with the Colin Kaepernick thing too, because you did bring up a good point. I think the NFL as a whole since then has changed completely. If Colin Kaepernick would have played probably 5 years later and still was relevant 5 years later, he'd be getting paid money because that's the type of quarterback that the NFL GMs, the owners, I think that's what they're salivating at almost. But I think
don't
he was
think it is. Then I
wrong
think we'd see
spot.
Richardson and Levis going top two, not Stroud and Young.
Richardson is, that's a very interesting one there.
I think that more of that athlete is what we'd see rather than.
I'll ask you one thing though. I still think GMs, they look at completion percentage, and you look at Richardson. He's like what 54, 57%.
Oh, I'm not big on Anthony Richardson at all.
I think GMs, they want the complete package, and that's what Jalen Hurts. I think you look at his completion percentage is a lot higher. I think they want to Peyton Vince, the real Peyton Vince's point here. I think that yes, you want that dual threat quarterback, but one of the biggest things is completion percentage, and then everything else after. If they can do both, then you got to pay them. And I'm with the other Peyton Vince down there, CJ. I think Baltimore should pay Lamar Jackson. I think it's kind of getting ridiculous at this point. Who else are you going to get that's better than him? He's an MVP. As a Browns fan, he terrorizes us, every year. So I don't know what more they're looking for in Baltimore, actually. But I like the problem that they're having as a Browns fan. It only helps us.
Let me look something up real fast. That's all I'm going to do.
Yeah.
Did you see OBJ?
I think there's knocks on all these guys, right? So when you look at all these guys we just kind of talked about, like there's those knocks. Like Hurts was a second-round pick, Jackson like the last pick of the first round, Kaepernick second-round pick. Even Fields went behind after
Prescott.
Fields was the fourth quarterback behind Lawrence, Wilson, and Lance. And even Lance has been a bit of a project. So you had these guys. I think that's the same knocks they had going into the draft is some of the same. We saw Hurts take a huge step forward throwing the ball this year. Going to the Super Bowl forces their hand. I'm a firm believer that they offered Baker Mayfield a contract after the Kansas City game, and he turned it down because he wanted to get paid more. Had he not turned it, we'd be living in a different world. But like guys like that, they just get knocks for their play style. I think it's wrong. Lamar Jackson was an MVP. I would kill to have Lamar Jackson. I'd rather have Lamar Jackson than Deshaun Watson. Rather have Lamar Jackson than a lot of quarterbacks. So the Ravens, they're reluctant to pay Lamar, and it seems kind of like the rest of the league doesn't want to pay. Nobody had problems giving Kirk Cousins guaranteed money, but Lamar Jackson, everybody kind of scoffs at. I mean, the Kirk Cousins and Lamar Jackson are in the same realm.
No, not at all. Not at all.
Yeah, but like I said, then who do you would in that time frame though, when Kirk Cousins got paid that money, who was the quarterbacks around that time that they could have paid other than him? Is it just because it was the right place, right time?
Kirk, when he got paid, I'm just gonna look. Go ahead, talk.
Because with also that time frame, I can't remember.
I think he's a little.
I'm looking at the 2018 NFL draft. That's when he signed with whatchamacallit.
I remember that
Washington.
Mm-hmm.
That was the Baker draft.
Yep.
So Baker, Darnold, Rosen,
Josh Allen.
Josh Rosen.
Minnesota in that draft pick. And Lamar was in that draft.
And also, Andrew ended up commenting saying that Ravens should trade for Trey Lance and let Lamar walk to Washington.
Minnesota, I think that was the Case Keenum year, so they were kind of stuck in between.
Free agent quarterback
correctly.
Bradford.
Yes, that was the Case Keenum year where they went to the NFC title game.
Jay Cutler.
Yeah, that seemed to be a perfect storm for Cousins. I mean, listen, I'm not saying they're perfect guys, but like Hurts, good for Hurts. Get your money.
Well, Lamar Jackson gets injured a lot, though.
He does.
I mean, that's why he's not getting paid, I think, is because he's hurt often, is because you can't guarantee that he's going to be there a full 16, 17 games now. But on top of that, when he's healthy, he's on a winning team. The Ravens were a winning team, but once he got hurt, Pittsburgh knocked him out of their playoff chances. And
the guy is a starter. He's 45-16 in the regular season.
That's pretty good.
That's right. 101 passing touchdowns, 38 interceptions, takes care of the ball, 96.7 rating. Top of that, he's ran for 4,000 yards. I think the offense they play doesn't help him. People not going to say that they game plan him as more as a runner. I don't see the hate that this guy gets. I think it's so.
And he's doing it without like top-notch receivers. That's the one thing we always said, like, oh, he's not that great of a thrower.
At this point, like bottom of the barrel running back. Last year they were on their third running back after Dobbins and what's his face guard.
Dobbins.
The guy is a fucking nightmare. Like he's so good.
So Casey, let me ask you this then, because if we're talking about quarterbacks and who would get paid in certain eras, would Vince Young get paid now if he was still younger and relevant compared to the type of game he used to play? Because he was in the wrong time frame, I think. He was a good quarterback. He was known at Texas, but he's kind of a little bit of a downgrade from Lamar Jackson.
I mean, let's see here. Vince Young's best year would have been when he brought the team to 8-2 himself when he played. And
Vince Young was not a good quarterback.
The reason why, Payne, I'll answer this, and it goes back to this, his completion percentage was only 57.9. It's the reason why you look at Jalen Hurts, you look at all those quarterbacks like that, it's their completion. Look at Deshaun Watson, his completion percentage.
Taking care of the ball, 70%. Too. I mean, you look at Young's career, 46 touchdowns, 51 interceptions.
Yeah, that's fair. If it's not 500 almost for your TD to interception ratio, that's a fair enough argument for me, I'd say.
Well, I mean, he has some rushing touchdowns probably mixed in there, but I don't know if that counted in that.
Rushing touchdowns.
Rushing would be
12 for his career, 7 his rookie year.
Yeah. So
his 07 year when he started 15 games, 2,500 yards, 62%, 9 touchdowns passing, 17 picks, 3 rushing touchdowns, 400 yards on the ground.
See, that's Eli Manning stuff like that 62% completion. If I'm going to give somebody hundreds of millions of dollars, almost $200 million guarantee, you got to be around 70% completion percentage. That's got to be the starting point. If you can't do that, then there's too many 3-and-outs then.
Correct.
I think the other thing, too, with some of these like high-level numbers, I think they just keep thinking like a little bit like basketball. The cap's only going to go up.
Yep.
The cap's not real. You just keep restructuring deals until you end up like the Saints. But I think that puts a lot of teams in a tough spot.
Lamar Jackson's completion percentage is 63.7.
He just does, but he's doing it with inferior receivers, inferior running backs.
His to interception rate is 101 to 38.
Wow.
But you know how many people would have the argument, though, that he's not a quarterback and he throws the ball barely any times. But if you look at the stats, though, that's obviously the complete opposite.
Yeah, but that's like the offensive scheme is to like run the ball a bunch. I just don't think it's a good scheme. I think if you were to put him in a place like Miami or like let like a Kyle Shanahan get a hold of him, dude, I think his numbers would be fucking insane. I think if he gets out of Baltimore, that could be the best thing for him. A lot of the things, too, like with a little injury on Lamar, why would you want to go back out there if they don't want to pay you?
I know.
You know what I mean? Like, why put yourself at risk? All these times, for the team, these guys have such a short window that they can make money and play at a high level. Why put yourself in that risk?
And he's 2 seasons, he has 1,000+ rushing yards.
Yeah, that is insane.
Rushing yards, and the highest is 1,206, which is pretty high, and 7 touchdowns rushing on top of his pass.
He's averaging 6 yards a carry for his career. Last year, he averaged 7 yards a carry. It's nuts. Those numbers are ape shit.
He's ran for more in that season. He passed for in his rookie year, though.
Yeah.
He threw for 1,200 yards in his rookie year, and he ran for just over 1,200 for 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So with Odell signing with the Ravens and him finally having a chance to at least have a relevant wide receiver, do you think there's actually odds of that?
Is Odell still relevant though? Like,
did you see the comments about him tearing an ACL, but his ACL didn't exist? Like he counteracted his comments.
What's best case scenario for Odell, number wise?
I think at this point, you're looking at Huntley.
1,000 yards if he stays healthy.
If he's got Huntley throwing, God.
It's better than Lamar, because Lamar, you'd be worried about the fact that is he going to run the ball all the time?
But Lamar is a better passer.
1,000 yards, though, isn't what it used to be. They play 17 games.
He got us one year. His first year with us.
And that wasn't.
The second year was 309, but 19, so that wasn't so good. But the first year, he wasn't.
Dale hasn't gone over 1,000 since tonight.
It's like these running backs and all these stats. Some of these stats we need to readjust what the numbers are because they play 17 games now. It's not like it used to be. It's a passing league.
But I think 1,000
passing league.
Good year. If you're looking at like when's the last time a Ravens receiver had 1,000?
Well, that's true. Yeah, that's true.
I think Odell's kind of a good fit. He's a good blocker. I just don't. I mean,
Hollywood.
Lamar doesn't come back. That's going to be the biggest mistake.
And I mean, it's all just depending on whatever they choose. He's going to end up, it's going to be a long-term contract, or else it's not going to be him in Baltimore. That's the only option they have, really, I think, because you want to make sure that with his type of play, as I think Ed mentioned, he's not healthy always. And you want to end up being able to ensure the fact that you have money in your pockets one way or another. And if you're able to have a $200 million contract and you're hurt for whatever majority of the year, maybe the Ravens, what they should do is end up putting in an injury clause. Because if you have a no trade clause with the majority of these players now, like Jalen Hurts had today, why would you not include an injury clause for Lamar Jackson because of the style he plays? Or is that something that is unheard of right now? And that's the first time somebody's ever thought of that, which I doubt has happened because I'm the one that said it.
Correct. Marquise Brown had 1,000 yards. 2021, he had 1,008. So he had 8 yards over.
I would say that, the agent Peyton would be against that, but I mean, does he even have an agent? So I would definitely, if I'm Baltimore, the team, I'm definitely want to throw that language into the contract. Now, if you have a smart agent like Drew Rosenhaus, they're going to push back and be like, there's no way you're making my player run this style of offense to win games, and then you're going to hold that against him when he gets hurt running your offense. It's not like Lamar Jackson is going to Baltimore with this game plan saying you got to play my way. It's, what I'm saying? So, I mean,
they brought in whatchamacallit. They brought in Todd Monken this year. I think you can see it be a different offense. I just, if I'm Lamar, I think it's ran its course. I think things, have gotten too ugly between the two of them. I'll be shocked if Lamar comes back to Baltimore, but then I don't know where he'll go.
So last football question then. In case you go on with what you're thinking, though.
You think he'd go to the Packers? You wouldn't try to roll the dice on Love if you're them?
There's no chance. Yeah, there's no chance that he goes back.
If Love's on the last – when they draft Love? Love's got to be on the last year of his deal, right?
2019, 2020, I think.
So if Love's on the last year of his deal and the Packers stink, then you're looking at a loaded class. Caleb Williams, Drake May. Like, dude, this class is stacked with dudes that I think this is the year. If I wanted to, like, kind of – be bad and this is the year I'd go. Because even if you're picking second or third, you got a shot at a guy that most drafts probably go one because Williams is going to go one.
Well, that was going to end up going to my next question too, finishing up about football, is who has the more difficult situation right now, Lamar Jackson with the Ravens or Aaron Rodgers with the Jets and the Packers? Because right now they're almost on the same
Lamar, because I feel like they're kind of just waiting. If Rodgers goes back to the Packers, like whatever, he goes back to the Packers, they're probably, probably favored to win that division, maybe behind Minnesota. I still think they're ahead of the Lions. I love the Lions. Don't get me wrong.
He's not
or he can go to the Jets. He goes to the Jets. I mean, either way, he's making fucking like $1 billion. I think that's what hurts Lamar. Lamar's not looking at that kind of money.
There's no way he's playing for the Packers. There's no chance.
I heard Tennessee might jump into the Aaron Rodgers fray.
I think there is a better chance that Lamar Jackson stays with the Ravens than Aaron Rodgers goes back to the Packers.
Who do you think does? You think Rodgers just doesn't want to be a Packer? You think the Packers are done with him?
I think the Packers are done. They want to move on to Jordan Love.
Bridge.
Who would you rather have this year? Jordan Love, Aaron Rodgers.
You ended up it's Aaron Rodgers, but you ended up mentioning the contract though. Do you want to see what you?
No, I'm looking at that from the Packers' perspective. But then you could be tied to a bad spot because Jordan Love wins games, unless he's first. Yeah, his first round. So you're looking at his fifth-year option. I think Packers are awkward, but I wouldn't want to be the Ravens. The Ravens are in a really stacked division, and they have no idea. The Ravens cannot roll Tyler Huntley out there at quarterback. That'll be the biggest mistake.
The Pro Bowler, all right?
The Pro Bowler Tyler Huntley. Yes, I know. Talking about Pro Bowl quarterback.
I got a question right now. Would you guys just do this? If you're the Baltimore Ravens, I think they should pay Lamar. I would just go to Lamar and say, look, I'll give you exactly what Jalen Hurts got and just be done with it.
How many times has a team paid the
I think
quarterback?
they offered him $200 million.
That's what he's claiming. Yeah. But is that true or not?
I don't know. He wants Watson money.
Yeah, that ain't happening.
I mean, that you have to end up realizing that he's an outlier almost was Watson, just because of with the off the field stuff.
Well, not that, but they had to pay Watson to come here. You know what I mean? All right, Deshaun.
And he had to play in the shitty weather that there is. He had to go through that since coming back from his suspension, and that was something he didn't want to end up dealing with to come with. And now to end up going to Ed's point earlier on about football and the Cleveland Browns stadium possibly being rebuilt, whatever, renovated. is that part of the reason too that they're looking at it? Okay, is Deshaun Watson a long-term quarterback, and if we want
I'm
to
just
keep
going
him
to
there,
read
we put
off
him in
some
a dome.
names of some quarterbacks I like next year. Right. There's a lot of quarterbacks. I just saw a handful, and that doesn't even count whatchamacallit, the dude, whatchamacallit's son, Dion's son. But Ewers balled out the first few weeks when healthy. I'd love to see him healthy again. Caleb Williams is his dog. Jaden Daniels played really good at LSU. KJ Jefferson played really good at Arkansas the last few years. Spencer Rattler was really hot down the stretch. I'm excited to see what he can do. Penix is really good at Washington. So there's guys out there. Sam Hartman, he's over at Notre Dame now. There's a lot of guys out there. I think there's a really interesting year.
You didn't mention Kyle McCord from Ohio State, and we won't get into Ohio State quarterbacks, but after the spring game, I'm a little scared of next year.
Is he junior? Or is he redshirt sophomore?
I think he's a junior.
I think he's a true sophomore. Anyways, there's a lot of guys out there, and I think they're all super interesting. I'm like, these are all guys. Yeah, then there's Kyle McCord. There's Carson back down at Georgia. A lot of unknowns that you don't know. Usually a guy pops out of nowhere every year. And Drake May. There's a lot of guys coming up in this next class.
You mean Stetton's not staying back at Georgia this year? He's
he doesn't have an 8th year in eligibility.
No, not yet. Wait until he ends up having that jail clause.
A lot of guys go to school for 7 years. They're just called doctors.
Is that your doctorate right there?
Yeah.
No.
But anyways, I think that's fair enough that we ended up hitting on football for a decent.
There's one more guy. I know there's another guy I've been seeing his name pop up in trade rumors. That's Kyle. It's Kyler Murray.
Ooh, that'd be
something with Kyler Murray.
Well,
watch for something with Kyler Murray. I've been just seeing his name all over the internet flying around rumors.
It's going to be interesting to see because this is only April and there's still 2-3 more months left until the actual NFL season kicks off with training camp. So, I mean, anything could happen at this point, too. And I think everything's on the table for at least 25 of the 32 teams that are out there, too. The majority of the teams, they're just not ruling anything out at this point. But that's the smart approach when you end up having to do business and you're looking for a quarterback of your future. You thought that you had something good with the Browns with that move, but who knows? This upcoming year could be a bad situation that you end up seeing that maybe Deshaun Watson, he isn't the same Deshaun Watson that he once was. And maybe whatever off the field issues that he had, maybe that's part of his issue too. But anyways, though, changing gears and heading over to baseball for about 10 minutes or so because we have NBA playoffs to talk about as well. Quick plug for the Snooze You Lose podcast at the Black Bookie on Twitter.
Black Bookie on Twitter.
Make sure to check them out. We Like Sports podcast. We Like SportsPC.com on Sundays. The Sunday Snooze You Lose pick of the week. And also We Like SportsPC.com. Check us out for any of the latest articles. You got Ed in Columbus writing up the latest Jalen Hurts news. You got CJ doing mock drafts from time to time. You got Casey that does Casey things on the website, you know.
The draft is taking so long away. Like I don't have the energy to do another mock draft.
Come on, Mel.
It's just taking too long. I feel I don't even know when the draft is coming at this point. Like, I just feel it's never going to happen.
Is it next Thursday?
Draft.
This is the year the Browns keep trading away picks. I can't even mock stuff up for the Browns. You're mocking up third rounders.
We're excited to see where Fandango's going, where Tyler Breeze is going.
I might do wrestling mock draft for us.
There you go. I'm sure people will be interested in that. But
weekend, I'm telling you.
But changing gears and going to baseball, what are your guys' thoughts on Tyler Freeman and the potential of him coming up to the big leagues again? I mean, he's had a really hot weekend, and that's just
it doesn't fucking matter. What's he gonna do? He's gonna be like Arias. He's gonna play once a week.
But from what I've seen on Twitter. With what fans have said on Twitter, though, is that they think Tyler Freeman would be more conditioned to play because he's had this success in AAA right now.
There's nothing for him, though. Where's he going to play? Where's he going to play?
The same thing with Arias. Which one do you end up trading?
That's what I'm saying. But where's he going to play? Where's he going to play? He's not going to play over Med Rosario. He's not going to play over Andres Gimenez.
I think Rosario's on the way out soon. The way he's been playing.
He hit slow starts. He hit 212 last April.
Yeah, it's always been that way. That's been always June, July for him. But at the same time, though, you have all these prospects. You have to package them together and move on almost. You got to see what you got. Will Brennan is just something that came about because Oscar Gonzalez is struggling like no other. Oscar Gonzalez might be optioned to AAA soon. Who knows?
That's part of it, though. How can he get hot if he's getting to the plate but 4 times a week.
Yes, Josh Bell took
You're
his
running in a logjam with all of these guys. And don't get me wrong, you were a logjam before last year. That's why they didn't make any moves. And you saw Gonzalez, this won't pop up. But now you have the same thing with middle infielders. They're not going to trade Med Rosario. Where are they going to trade Med Rosario?
I
Couldn't
agree.
tell you.
I agree.
Where are you going to trade them to? Who wants Ahmed Rosario right now?
You think Freeman, you think Arias, you think that they give us a better chance to make the World Series this year than Rosario would? Now, if Rosario's hitting 218 in July, different conversation. But, I mean, I don't think that – it's like the Karis LeVert trade. If you're going to get rid of Rosario, is the replacement going to be better than what you already have? Is it going to screw with the chemistry with the team? Because if you watch the games, Rosario's, I think, one of the leaders of the team with Ramirez. So you tell me.
I mean, it's just, I think at this point, what fans, and I'm not saying that I'm for not for Rosario getting traded or not getting traded, because I'm big advocate for him for always being a second half player. I always have belief in him, and that's always what he's shown in years past. But at the same time, though, when you have such a slow start in April like he is right now, and you have so many prospects, you have to start making moves either way.
Yeah, but there's been so few games. I mean, I'm looking at it. He had a bad series against the A's where he went 0 for 9 in 2 games.
That's the A's, though.
He went 0 for 6 against the Mariners. He's 4 for his last 14 at the plate. Like, give the guy some time. It's April. He's a pro. He'll be fine. He'll figure it out. He always does. He swings at a lot of pitches. He doesn't really walk a lot, so he's going to lead to these slumps where he goes 0 for 6 in a game. He doesn't strike out at a high. Is he striking out? You know, he's not really, 17 strikeouts, 63 appearances. That would be, but like, you've got nowhere for him. He's on the last, he's still in arbitration. I think he's either on the last year of arbitration or he's another year of arbitration eligibility. Like, you're probably not moving him for much, and you're not moving him in April or May.
And you brought up the A's, too, and I just have to end up popping that up on there, too. And it's one of the most ridiculous things if you guys haven't seen it yet.
We can't laugh like that. We've had those in our stadiums, too, buddy.
Yeah, but the thing is, though, is that it's been a season later. Like, he went all through winter meetings, spring training, and they still haven't kicked the possum out.
You can't get us a media the A's, man. Come on, I told you this last week. We brought this up. I said, get us a media pass.
See, dude, the A's are totally with the media pass. So
yeah, rally possums are only supposed to be there for a certain amount of time, not an indefinite stay. Like Baker when he lived at First Energy Stadium and those progressive commercials. We saw how that worked out for us. So
I heard he never got the keys back.
I like those commercials.
I did too, but
and also, while we end up talking about baseball, I have this clip too, and it was of the Padres and Brewers game, and this is a good standpoint, I guess, and a good change of the pitch clock. We'll end up checking out the video, and then I want to get your guys' thoughts, and I also want to get to the souvenir bats that they're selling at stadiums now because some Cubs fans had some fun. But regardless, here's the bases loaded 9th inning pitch clock debacle that made baseball really intense, and like it was almost like you were waiting for a buzzer beater. So here it is.
And it's time to party again. With the bases loaded, the count of 3-2 and 2 outs. Everybody's going to be on the move.
3-1 heater. Does Devin Williams go with his best here, or does he go back to the fastball? Grisham strikes out looking, and that's the ball game.
Audio courtesy of Bally Sports Great Lakes.
Perfect.
Nice.
Perfect segue. But I mean, honestly,
yes. So what was the point of watching this?
Yeah, I mean, it's the fact that the pitch clock went down to 1. You could have ended up having that violation on the pitcher because it could have been a
Ahmed Rosario had that dog shit first half last year. Sorry, I don't mean to. But he still had 291 in the first half.
But yeah, he's at what he start off in April then. If
I'm
we're going
just
back
saying,
to
in April he had 211.
Yeah.
Okay, so
and he had a lot of strikeouts. He struck out 15 times, which is about where he's at now. Like
just like when you take a piss in
and
the
it's
winter.
a tough go, right? He faced the same team twice in the first 3 series. Like, give it some time, all right? Tyler Freeman's hitting off dudes that should be bagging groceries.
Peyton, I love that video. I will say one thing, going back to it, I like because I was looking at the clock, like you said, it was kind of like a buzzer beater. But looking at it, I think I don't know if he got that pitch off because they take the graphic away. I think if you'd actually look at it's like basketball, I don't think the ball left his hand or is it the wind up? How does
the ball? I think it's just like the foot's got to be up by.
It's like,
okay, like I'm wondering.
Did you see the Phillies game? I don't know when that was. I saw this one the other day. The Phillies were playing somebody, I can't remember who, and Trey Turner, like the catcher called time, and the umpire granted him time, like because Turner was about to take off because the clock was running down.
Oh wow! I did see something with Trey Turner, but I didn't watch the full video.
Yeah, the catcher called time while Turner was about to steal.
I'm a big fan of it. I liked it. I was looking at the clock. I was counting it down. I think that's part of the game. It's kind of fun. And the fact that he delivered that strike with 0 point whatever would be on that clock, I think that makes it pretty cool.
I think it's going to be interesting when it comes to playoff time if they still have a pitch clock as strict as it is and umpires are going to end up bearing down because, for example, like that moment, the reason why I ended up showing that is it kind of reminded me of Johnny Cueto in the playoffs when it was the Pirates against, I think it was the Reds, and everybody in the stadium was chanting Cueto's name. Could you imagine having a pitch clock behind it as well? And you have all
like whatchamacallit, Karen check in Seattle. They were doing that. They were counting down on them. They were yelling the wrong numbers.
and that was opening weekend though. So that's just a glimpse into what the future possibly can be though, which baseball, I mean, it's all moving pieces. I mean, I went to the game on Tuesday. It was a blowout with the Yankees. Me and my girlfriend went, and it was a good game to just end up exploring. Got to see the bullpen, got to see the old visitors bullpen down there in right field too, to catch an inning, which was kind of unique.
But, how'd you get in those seats? What do you do to get down there?
There's actually a line, and if you DM me or if you just message me, I don't know how executive or how exclusive this is, but it's really easy to get to.
Correct. As I said, that's the tickets I bought for the playoff game. It was $110 at the beginning of the whole game.
Oh, really? They don't even they tour that now. They don't even sell them. It's just part of it.
Playoffs because they wanted to sell more tickets. So
okay.
Every year, every game is what they just did for that. But then for the playoffs, they sold tickets down there, and I got it for $110. It was the cheapest seats I could get in the stadium, and they were perfect. And there's a heater in there for the winter.
Was it standing room only too, or did they put in seats for you guys for the playoffs?
They only let like 12 people in.
So standing room only?
Yeah, but there's a bench. The bullpen.
Yep. I saw that. I almost wanted to pop the squad on it too, just to end up seeing how it would be sitting in the bullpen like the old times.
Listen, all right. I don't mean to keep yelling at you about a Rosario. I'm just looking deeper into Rosario numbers. Sorry, going down a rabbit hole. His strikeout percentage is up significantly last year. Last year, struck out 16.6%. This year, up 24%, almost 25, right? But when he puts the ball in play, he's hitting 283, right? He'll cut down on the strikeouts. He'll be fine.
So
you don't happen to have a Med Rosario jersey or anything like that?
No, I don't buy jerseys.
Tattoo right here.
You're not related to him in any way, shape, or
because
form.
I'm still thinking about it. There's a lot of guys in the minor leagues that we're going to have this argument on throughout the course of the year, and it's because the Arias thing is pissing me off because like he should be playing more, but he's up, so he can't play more. So you're running into a lot of problems with these guys. I think it's going to be really interesting to not only see how Terry manages this lineup, because like they're rolling Josh Bell, like Josh Bell had a good game yesterday, but they're rolling Josh Bell out there and he's hitting fucking 83 before yesterday. So like it's going to be really interesting to see how long the leash is on some of these guys and how quick the trigger is going to be on some of these other guys, because you don't want to call Tyler Freeman up if he's red hot. Same with Bo Naylor. Mike Zunino has the highest on base percentage on the team. You don't want to call Bo Naylor up, and now he's only playing 3 times a week, and then he's going to get there and he's going to struggle. And then
Zunino looks changed compared to what Austin Hedges was. You look like
best move that's just where we're at on these. I really don't think we're going to call Tyler Freeman up, because I do think when Rosario's gone, I think you're going to see Jimenez move over to short.
Oh yeah, I think that's why.
You don't want to keep.
You don't give that money in the season.
This is a weird situation I think the Guards are in right now. Unless you're going to package one, which they might. I thought a lot of the guys they called up last year, I thought Nolan Jones was like the second or third best guy they had called up, and they moved him.
So who ends up getting called up first? Because you end up having Tanner Bibby, you end up having Gavin Williams, you end up having Espino that's hurt and still recovering. But I mean, you have pitchers that are in need right now.
Honest to God, I think you're going to keep seeing them call up kind of dudes that are like random, that are just on the 40 man, not any of these young guns until they're ready to commit to one of these guys long term in the rotation. All right, boom, Gavin Williams has been in rotation the rest of the year. I think they're going to keep calling up guys for spot starts. I don't think you'll see Gavin Williams up here for a spot start.
What about Tanner Bibby then? Because he's dominated in the minors in AAA, and he was somebody that's just been fast-tracked. And somebody like Hunter Gattis, Peyton Battenfield, those are guys that could be taking those starts instead away from them, giving them to Bibby because he's shown that he's having high velocity. I'm not going to say he's going to be an ace because
they both are. Williams hit 101 the other day. I just think a lot of these guys, until they're committed to them, that all right, this is a guy we're going to move forward with. The rest, I don't think you're going to see. I think you're going to keep seeing them roll Hunter Gaddis out.
They've done this every year. I feel like like every year there's these guys that you completely forget. You look at last year's 100 and some games and see what the pitchers were. I'm sure there'll be names we don't even remember. And
look at the name you mentioned last week, Plutko, Adam Plutko. Who would have thought?
Yeah.
That's what I mean. It's like if you look at those kind of things, it's every year they kind of wait for those guys that are actually ready to bring up before they just put up for the spot starts.
Yeah, I'm gonna see if I can find any randos last year.
Whatever year Bieber came up, like that the year before, I'm sure I don't remember him making spot starts.
Nope, not at all.
I'm looking at a few guys. Here's everybody that started a game on the mound for the Guardians last year.
See, the thing about it is with the spot starts.
Cody Morris started 5 games. Curry started 2. Gattis started 2. Kirk McCarthy, Connor Plinkett. Connor Plinkett started 11 games last year.
Yep. See, like I wouldn't even if you asked to name some starting, I wouldn't have thought of him.
But the spot starts, I'm all for if you want to bring up randos for spot starts. But they better be throwing. I want them to throw gas. One thing that translates, I don't care if they're in AA or AAA. Look, they got to come out. They can't be these like finesse kind of pitchers. They usually don't do well. They got to throw gas because gas translates into Major League Baseball. And as long as you can control it for a game or two and then send them back down or whatever like that. But I don't want these guys that come up and throw 85-mile-an-hour cheese.
But when you end up throwing gas,
there's guys like, don't get me wrong,
Bauer, Clevenger, like all those guys, you got shoulder problems.
Like Bieber was like a dominant control guy throughout his time. Like Hunter Gaddis fucking sucks. No disrespect to Hunter Gaddis. Sure, he's a nice guy, but he sucks. Like he's not getting done. Same thing with that. And this is something we talked about last week, right? You have all these guys like, they had a good start last week. Now, all right, boom, back to reality with Gaddis and please. These guys suck. Like you have enough on them to know they suck. Like, but whatever, they're gonna keep rolling them out there probably until June or July, and then we'll see Gavin Williams come up for the last back here. No, these guys have been throwing their whole lives. Why worry about fucking innings limit on a young guy?
I mean, that's the thing too, is that like that always goes back to like somebody like Steven Strasburg too. He's always had an innings limit ever since he made his debut, and he was in the same time frame as Bryce Harper. And I think that's when his innings limit actually hurt him because he was limited on actually pitching and being to his full potential. Bryce Harper got paid. He went elsewhere. He got paid. They were on that same trajectory.
Strasburg got his money. Don't you worry about him.
Yeah, but at the same time,
I just don't think he's pitched since 2019.
Yeah,
I forgot he was in the league until like this week. I thought he was done.
Well,
he's got a nice ring though. I wish the Guardians would get one, but he's got a nice ring, Strasburg.
One of these years,
signed a 7 years,
or
$245 million contract. He's on the books for another 3 years after this year. Holy shit!
I take back that he didn't get paid then.
He got that. He's never gonna pitch again.
He doesn't have to.
He's going to keep making recap starts.
And last video regarding baseball, and this is just some fun here because I saw it at the Guardians game this past week. And I mean, you're charging for alcohol and then you're charging for this specific item too, a souvenir bat. But
I've seen these. I saw these at the Angels game too.
Name is Pepperoni Knuckle.
Oh, fuck yeah, bud.
Oh, fuck yeah, bud. You're going to, it's a 3-2 count. And we're going to see something here. And you got the catcher back there. Oh! Oh!
Video courtesy of Drunk Guy on Twitter.
Now, how much does that cost?
$10.
I saw somebody put one of those. I think it might have been the Angels game or something. I saw one of them. Maybe it was like $28. It said.
Yeah, with your drink, you end up paying like $18. Like I think a White Claw is like $15 or $16 plus a 10 for on top of it.
Yeah, I'm sure you can't just buy the cup, Pat.
But like even like
a White Claw.
Yeah. What?
You got a White Claw.
You had a White Claw on that? You should have got one of those paid. We need an expense account.
Hey Casey, White Claw for those guys that only hit singles.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey.
Getting at the baseball, that's it.
Moneyball aspect, though, but can he get on base?
Ooh, true that. Hey, player, I won't knock you again.
What are you saying, though, Casey?
Yeah, I'm just shook. I'm getting a White Claw at the baseball game. It doesn't. What do you think? I think Ed Vince would say about that?
Well, I don't think he's watching right now, but we could ask him. But
what do you think Vince Senior underneath you would say about that?
What would Stephen R. say about that?
Oh, man, don't bring up Stephen R. That's like if you say his name 3 times, he's going to end up hearing.
What would Doug Vince say about that, Peyton?
I don't know, man.
It came on Facebook back in the day.
He was everybody's favorite friend. But changing gears, though, talking about basketball, unless if you guys want to hit on something Guardians related until we end up having until 7:50 or so, could close 10 minutes of basketball. But is there any final thoughts regarding the Guardians at all?
What do you think about that play at the plate, Zanino and the blocking? And
I think he was blocking for sure. That's something he's going to have to end up adjusting. But like Casey said, you had an upgrade offensively from him compared to Austin Hedges, but defensively, he's like a traffic cone. That's the worst defensive replacement ever.
All three of them, they can't stop the ball to save their life. How many runs do they got to cost us? That's the catch, though. You wanted an offensive catcher, but how many runs do they cost you defensively then?
That throw by Miles Straw, I always get bang on him because I just want him to hit a home run once every 2 years. Maybe he'll get one.
I think I saw something like the Guardians center fielders haven't hit a home run since August 2020.
Austin Kerr.
Austin Kerr. Oh no! Don't say his name 3 times.
No, who was 2020 in the outfield then in center?
It might have been 21, before we got
Oscar Mercado.
I think it was before. When did we get Straw?
Was 20? It was, I think,
21?
maybe the fall of 2020.
No, the second season.
I'm thinking it was because we thought he was going to be the next big thing, and then he sucked the year after that.
Dude, Mercado hit 20 doubles and 20 tanks at his rookie year.
So it's Mercado. Like Ed said, Mercado was the one that was, and he's it might have been Bradley Zimmer, honestly.
Yeah,
no, Bradley Zimmer can't hit a baseball.
No, now he can't. He found it for about 2 weeks.
That Yankees thing kind of hurt him a little bit when he got hurt.
Oh, he's hurt.
Stinks.
He's with the Cardinals right now. Mercado
he got drafted by them. Got traded away.
Traded him in 2018 for Connor Capel and John Torres.
What's Bradley Zimmer doing these days?
He batted fucking 57 last year, I think, for the Blue Jays.
Potential.
Bradley Zimmer's a Dodger now. Sorry, I know we're getting off track.
You gotta look at baseball reference. He was hit 67 for. I'm telling you, and I looked last year.
Me and Peyton used to argue about Bradley Zimmer
he hit
twice a month.
You and I?
Yes.
Yeah, we would argue. Me and Peyton would argue about Bradley Zimmer.
Let me give you his career batting. Let me give you his batting average from 2017 with us. It was 240, 226, 162, 227. Then we got rid of him. Then he had 124, 101, 105.
Well, we got the best of them then. We had the best of them.
250 in 9 games. And then 77.
I used to fucking hate this guy. I never forget. We did you did a Twitter poll and hundreds of who would really have turned it, and just everybody was shitting on me about Tyler Naquin. And I fucking saved all those replies. I was like, oh yeah, Bradley Zimmer's so fucking good. Yeah, he sucks, dude. Guy
couldn't get so mad over that.
Yeah, dude, I was so pissed.
His last
year, 331 times in his career.
What's it? Last thing regarding Bradley Zimmer, because I still have to end up pissing off CJ one way or another. What was his batting average in minor league rehab starts, though? Because that's where the stats matter, obviously, for him.
Minor league rehab starts. I get us minor league stats. I don't even know.
I'm sure they do.
The guy went to a captain's game and Andrew Miller was pitching and he got rocked. He fucking couldn't even get one out, and he gave 5 runs in the rehab start against the captains. With the captains, I remember that.
Well, good thing we got rid of him a long time ago then, too, because Andrew Miller and Bradley Zimmer are on the same track all along, according to CJ.
Bradley Zimmer sucks
If you
so
look
bad.
on the bottom of Baseball Reference on his page, and it gives you similar batters to the age of 29. I haven't heard Andy Marte is one of them, but I haven't heard of any of these people on here.
Bradley Zimmer in the minors hit 271 for a career, 373 on base, hit 50 home runs. Dude, this guy still sucks.
He's getting on base, man.
Didn't we have Lewis Brinson? Wasn't he?
We had Luis Valbuena.
No, I mean Lewis Brinson. Oh, I know Andy Marte we had. I was looking at it right now.
Marte, played third.
218, career 218. Let me see. I thought we had Lewis Brinson. I think that was familiar to me.
He might be somebody down in Florida that you're familiar with.
Yeah, you're right.
See him often. But anyways, though.
He was big in Miami, that's why.
See, makes sense. It's that fancy ballpark that makes you become a really good batter, apparently.
Never been down to that fancy ballpark. I've only been to the shitty ballpark in Tampa a few times.
Well, last topic of the day, NBA playoffs. Casey, what do you have to take away from the NBA playoffs so far within mainly everybody playing game 1 and game 2 having a select 2 games tonight?
I would say let's go through the thing here.
The Cavs I'm worried about.
Let's go through the Nets and the Sixers. The Nets aren't going to even win a game, I don't think. But lucky for them, they're not horrendous, and they have a lot of draft picks coming up, but they're not going to do anything. You got the Cavs and the Knicks. I don't know. I said beforehand, the Knicks scare me in the general because I always struggle against them. And now, I mean, Brunson, he was out the whole first half of that game, and he killed the second half. He killed us last time he played us. So
I was Cedi Osman guarding him too to begin with.
Yeah,
and he was so gassed at the end of the game. Jetty, like the final 2 minutes, could not catch his breath.
LeVert barely played. They didn't. I would have been opposed to putting Stevens in for 5 minutes just to give him a break. And Okoro couldn't do shit scoring wise, so you could have put Stevens. Couldn't have been much worse. My other view was Danny Green. Get him a 3-minute run. You know, we can't score. I don't need you in there for 10 minutes, 5 minutes, 3 minutes in the first.
3 solid.
Half. Yeah. If he hits 3 or there, it's fine. But I got to give him something, I think, because he was good those last 2 games. The Warriors, I think that they're not going to win. I think that the Kings are going to beat them, surprisingly.
I hope so. I hope they sweep them. That'd be the best thing that I've seen in basketball. But they won't because the Warriors are good at home, but they're terrible away.
I'm saying, in the Celtics,
they're
going to lose to the Hawks. The Lakers and the Grizzlies are interesting, depending on John Morant. But I hope that the Grizzlies win, even though I don't like them that much either, just due to the whole incidents that they've been going on.
Nuggets are going to LeBron factor on the other side too, on top of it with the Lakers. And their bench scores crazy too. You had Hichimura and Rivers.
Reeves, you mean? But it's not.
Reeves,
I can tell you that. And like I said, with Morant possibly being out, that could be interesting. And like I said, with the Nuggets whooped on the Timberwolves. It was horrible last night. I watched that game. And then the Suns and the Clippers, right? And the Suns and the Clippers game was interesting. Without Paul George, they still beat them, I believe. Right? I think the Clippers won that game.
Yep, they did.
Russ locked them down at the end of the game. So it's all. I think it's more interesting than you would have imagined. And then the Heat and the Bucks is the other one. I forgot.
Yep. The Bucks, I think that's going to be a really interesting series too, because what's going to happen with Giannis? Tyler Hero's out for Miami now. But Kevin Love actually showed up in the playing games. He didn't do anything, and he showed up when it counted. Where was that in Cleveland, Kevin?
It's very, very interesting. Like almost, I would say 6 of the 8 series. I think there's a way it could go either way, right? There's not a clear winner on either side, which I think is good. With the injuries, it sucks if people are hurt. Glad no one on the Cavs is hurt yet. But I don't know. It's compelling, I think, as a fan of just basketball. You know what I mean?
I mean, that Suns-Clippers game was really interesting. It was one of those later games, and the fact that it came down to the wire literally with Russell Westbrook getting the blocked shot. The Suns have so much potential, too, and they should end up being – I mean, for the longest time with Kevin Durant, when he was on the floor, he's undefeated. And now when he's on the floor in the playoffs – the joke was what I saw on Twitter was that in a playoff game, ever since Steve Nash hugged Kevin Durant hasn't won a playoff game.
Yeah. Well, I'm interested in the Cavs, obviously, and I'll say one thing. I'm not a big milk drinker, but so I was pouring my milk this morning, and on the carton of milk, I saw a picture of Darius Garland. I was wondering, is he going to take a shot in the fourth quarter? Because that's ridiculous. Watching this
Cavs shot in the second half.
Yeah, I mean, that was ridiculous. I mean, he said he was all, fiending for playoff basketball. Well, you got there, brother, and you didn't shoot it. So I don't understand. JFK would still be alive if Darius Garland was the shooter. That's all I got to say.
Jesus. But, I mean, the Donovan Mitchell, that game, you're more than likely, in my opinion, if he doesn't end up scoring as much as he did and they helped to lead that run in the fourth quarter, that game's considered a blowout against the Knicks because it was for a good majority.
Yeah.
Stats-wise, though, it looked a lot closer when you ended up seeing the final score, and they shouldn't have even been close to it.
How do we have 2 7-footers, basically, and get out-rebounded 51-38?
What about
I
Julius
don't know
Randle
about
pushing
you guys,
around
but I
Evan
feel
Mobley?
like every time I watch the Cavs, I feel like they're soft.
They are.
They're too. I think Jared Allen
Mobley,
and Evan Mobley are soft. Mobley and like Randall is a little bit of a thug. He's got that in him. He just bullied Evan Mobley all
He drove
game
right
long.
to the basket, and Evan Mobley looked like he lost his dog. Like that.
I think they need a little more out of the bench. Isaac Okoro can't be out there fucking just stand. Isaac Okoro he got Eric snowed. It felt like
if you watch, you're correct. What happens is he stands in the corner.
Yeah, they did not guard him.
Cheats in every time. So then when they drive in, the guy collapses right away. So it's 3-on-1, and then you kick it out to him. He's not shooting it, and if he does, he's not making it.
Definitely not making it.
And when he drives in, he's not like he's not fancy around the rim. If it's not an open,
I think the other thing too is you're asking guys, and I get it. Everybody does it in playoff basketball, but like Evan Mobley, you're asking them to go beyond there for 40 minutes. Like they've never done that all year. Like
it's crazy to me.
The idea of not running out. I know Lamar Stevens isn't the end all, but Lamar Stevens has won us some games. Just being out with his defense and his hustling and. He can go kind of wear down a Julius Randle. He can go be a 4 fouls on. Just go foul him. You got you're dealing with a guy like Randall who's already banged up. Go put someone. Go kind of be a pest and get under his skin with it. And that's what Lamar Stevens has done. Lamar Stevens, every time he goes in the court, he usually does something good. Why are we not playing Lamar Stevens?
Why are they playing nobody on their bench? Like I know the bench is terrible, but the fact that you ended up saying their starters ended up going 40+ minutes. Jared Allen
we talked
good either.
about, I know you said there was, Love didn't do anything for us, but you were to have Kevin Love and he can go give one of those two big guys a break, and he spaces the floor out. The idea of just letting Kevin Love walk and not playing him at the time, then being like, oh, we're going to play Dean Wade and this guy, these guys are giving us this. And now when it's come, no, they're not going to even see the floor. What the fuck is the point of anything we're doing?
And the thing is, too, is Kevin Love's going to come back and bite Cleveland in the ass, too, because they're going to end up probably moving on. That's going to be the situation more than likely because that's the way the story's going to go. And Cleveland's going to be a first-round exit. Everyone's going to be proclaiming about that.
I'm looking at the box score, too, and I thought the offense was bad and just kind of disorganized. But, Jared Allen had 4 assists. Mitchell had 8. Darius Garland had 1 assist.
Yeah,
it's a little too much. It's high picking. It's a little bit too much. Give Donovan Mitchell the ball. Let Donovan Mitchell take care of everything. Run the offense. Been running. It's just sloppy right now.
He's had a game below that low of assist all year. Has he had a game with just 1 assist all year long?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
You played 43 minutes. You're the point guard. You got 1 assist.
So here's final thoughts, though, about this, because it's just going to end up snowballing with frustration watching the Cavaliers. But is it being seen now that the game plan, literally the game plan of the Cavaliers without Mitchell, I feel like they'd have more success last year than what they have this year because it's just stand around and watch Bron ball pretty much, but it's Donovan Mitchell ball.
No, but it's not and it doesn't start that way. It becomes,
a lot of the times the ball just kind of finds Mitchell at the end, and it's like a bailout shot that he's got to go chuck up because there's 6 on the shot clock.
it's not starts like that. It's when everybody else is shooting fucking 0 for 4, like Okoro's 0 for 4 on 3, Garland's whatever 1 for 7 on 3, and then Mobley's not hitting that jumper, and Allen's not getting near the hoop at that hook shot.
Garland shot the ball well. He's 7 of 13, 2 of 4 from deep.
Well, here's the thing going into game 2, which I think, like to you guys' point, will make the gameplay don't look so Donovan Mitchell oriented. You get the rebounding to not being 51-38. You have 2 7-footers. You out rebound the Knicks. You get more physical. Like I said, put Lamar Stevens in for a couple. Use those 4 or 5 fouls or whatever like that. That'll change it up. And look, they're playing at home. There's no reason why they should have been so ice cold from 3-point land. I mean, that's ridiculous. I know it's maybe the playoff jitters, first game, whatever like that, butterflies, whatever. But now you've seen the lights. They're bright. Okay, we understand that. But I mean, I understand the Knicks shooting bad from 3-point land because they're the road team, but you can't shoot ice cold at home like that. That's ridiculous. I think they'll be better. I do expect the Cavs to win tomorrow night game 2.
They have to.
I think they'll win tomorrow night. Yeah, I feel like they kind of have to.
Yep.
It felt like an awkwardly called game, and I don't want to say nothing about the refs because whatever's basketball. But you desperately need more from your bench. All your starters were in plus besides Darius Garland was -3. Dean Wade was -14. Karis LeVert was -14. The Knicks, same kind of thing. Knicks, Randall, they were -8 with Randall on the floor, -15 with Robinson.
Josh Hart, he went nuts. You got to stop that.
Hart's out, though. I think out of practice today, or he was limited. So that helps. I don't want to be the guy that's happy about injuries.
Can't let the Knicks get 17 offensive rebounds, including Josh Hart getting 5 of those. That's just too much
for that game.
That's where you got to set the tone is inside. You got to protect the paint.
Yep.
Well, I mean, last thoughts. Go on with what you were saying.
That's the problem. We have nobody that's behind those two that could actually go in there. Yeah, that's the and Lopez.
Because Karis LeVert stinks. I mean, I Jetty last game. Jetty came in and gave him a little spark. Jetty ran out of gas. Can't go back to Okoro because Okoro was playing like dog shit. You're gonna have to go dig up Lamar Stevens.
I think Stevens cannot do worse offensively than Okoro, and that's far behind, if not better, than Okoro on defense. I'm a big Stevens fan, so I
dig up Lamar to score what he did off the bench before. Because otherwise, do you end up putting
him at LeVert? I mean, he's just
put him at the 3 though instead of Okoro. Because that sounds like a good option, but then you have no bench reliability then because if he ends up scoring points.
You don't need a bench if you're going to play Garland and Mitchell 43 minutes. They're always on the floor anyways. One of them. What do you need to go put together his worst J.R. Smith impersonation?
Well, did Rubio even play that game?
I think he played
a little bit. He was horrible.
A few guys. Yeah, he was rough.
Rubio could have been a big addition, like big part of the team, but they were banking on him being a solid spot in the playoffs.
Yep.
Yeah, he has not looked the same since that knee injury.
Nope. And I think that's the thing too, is that they knew about it, but they hit it really well, and that's the struggle. But we end up having, by the time we come back here next Monday, Sunday's game 4 in New York. Are we talking about the Cavs being out of the playoffs by then? Are we talking about what are we talking about?
2-2.
Give me Knicks and 6. That's where I've gone.
2-2. It'll be 2-2 next time we talk.
Knicks and 6. Knicks and 6.
That is from a James Ford Rhodes graduate.
I just think Knicks and 6.
Casey, what are you thinking?
I don't know, man. It's
trust your gut. Don't be the fan. Because honestly, I think you might be talking 3-1 or 2-2. 2-2 is a stretch, I think, Ed. Honestly,
but
if we can even it up at 2-2, we'll win the series.
I wouldn't be amazed if we were even up 3-1. Like there's so many outcomes that I think
you can tell me anything with this series, I'll believe it.
That's what I'm saying. It's so hard for me to even say because I wouldn't be shocked if we just turned it on. Like our defense, we only give 101 points. Like if we had any production,
but we were rough on offense.
That's what I'm saying. Like when's the last time we 97? Like you know what I mean?
I don't think the Knicks will rebound the ball that good again, but I don't think they'll shoot the ball that bad again. At the same time. I just think it's a really interesting series. I go off what I've seen kind of the last 2. I think the Knicks really out physical the Cavs last game, and I just feel like we're struggling with Jalen Brunson.
Brunson has our number. Yeah, I was gonna say that's the.
I mean, you saw that before with the end of the regular season. He ended up.
That's what I'm saying.
That was a concern.
We're struggling with Brunson. I think the thing when I look at the Cavs, like really watch like that last 4 quarters, or not the last like 7 minutes of that fourth quarter, the way like they tried to have to force Jetty to get a screen to get Brunson on Mitchell, it's just a little bit like too much of out of the things we did. And I just don't like that. That's not a recipe.
But do you think the Knicks are actually good? Like, do you think if the Knicks played any of the 3 teams above us that they would win?
I think they have a decent chance, more so than what you would expect. I'm not going to say they're going to end up winning and going and moving on, but I think they'd compete.
They match up well against us. They really do.
I think they're a good match. I think a team that they kind of match up well against us in the top, besides us in the top, I think they match up with Philly well.
Yeah, I agree with that.
They have a lot of size between Hartenstein and Randall and Robinson. I think that's something we try to play to our advantage.
I guess it's about that time where we end up plugging social media instead of random Indian/Guardians player of the week. I have something different this week too.
Oh, I've been looking them up this whole time. I'm sorry.
No, well, guess what? You're gonna have to look up a new one too. So, guys, make sure you plug your social media. The question that's gonna be next after you plug the social media: random Cavaliers player. Keep it in mind. Start thinking. Ed, not CJ Hawkins, or not Peyton Vince, I should say. And Casey, give your social medias before we end up heading out. And also make sure to check us out on Twitter at WeLikeSportsPC and WeLikeSportsPC.com.
Yep. Check me out at Ed in Columbus. Check me out. We Like Sports Podcast. I wrote an article about Jalen Hurts. Check us out. Doing big things there. Love you guys. My random Cavalier will go Ricky Davis, wrong rim Ricky. Led the Cavs in scoring before LeBron James got there and tried to get a triple-double and made the Golden State Warriors mad or Minnesota mad, and they wanted to fight him afterwards, so that was fun.
Random Cav.
All right,
go ahead, because he's going to be a minute.
The next thing is, I was going to say interesting facts when I was at the Cavs game. There was somebody at the Cavs game down in Orlando with a Boobie Gibson jersey on. Which I was very surprised that someone that wasn't at Cleveland that had a Boobie Gibson jersey.
Right.
But I was going to say Scott Pollard played.
Dude, I swear to fucking God. Scott Pollard was.
He was on Survivor. I think he was on Survivor. The show Survivor.
Coin set, the Plain Dealer coin set. He was one of the coins in it. DeHonte Jones, the first time he was with us, was on that team as well. Yeah, Scott Pollard was my I was going to go with there.
CJ, do you want me to go?
Yeah, you go. There's a guy I'm looking for.
All right,
I got my random Cav.
I think you're going to end up getting pissed off again. But anyways, at Peyton Vince on Twitter, at We Like Sports PC, WeLikeSportsPC.com. Make sure to check us out on all social media. I don't know if Casey's ended up getting out there for Twitter, but it's at Casey Kotonski, CASEYKOTONSKI. I spelled that really quick, almost in rhythm like you do, but if I got it right.
I'm disappointed in you. Yeah, you were correct. I was worried.
I believed in myself, but my random Cavaliers player, Ira Newble.
Dude!
he's one step. He's the stepdad of a girl I went to high school with.
Oh yeah, that is. I have
paid
an idea
him
of who you're talking about.
I found out a little bit more about Ira Newble after, like, when they had LeBron. Like, he was like a big free agent signing, I guess, and he fucking sucked. Like
Luke Jackson. Luke Jackson
was another one. Yeah, they fucking did the next draft. Luke
Herringody. There's another one. Luke Herringody's another Cavs.
Luke Walton.
I got my favorite random Cav is just because he was here for like 2 months and I felt like he only played one game. Fucking Baron Davis ended that losing streak.
Number 85
that night was great.
I
and then
swear
like my other one, I swear to God. No, not Andrew Bogut. That was a good one. My other guy that was actually so random. I felt like every time I saw him, he was getting buckets. Like when LeBron was here, it's like Jordan McRae.
Yeah, McRae.
Jordan McRae just every time he was out, he just get buckets.
It's that Jamario Moon is on there too.
Harlem Globetrotters type basketball.
Ramon Sessions. Anybody?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh my God, Anthony Parker. My random Guardian was gonna be. I've been looking up like Guardians that are random. My random Indian was gonna be Kerry Wood.
Kerry Wood.
I was gonna go Coco Crisp.
Jamie Carroll.
Jamie Carroll, yeah. The random thing of Coco Crisp is he was on the World Series team that you don't think about.
2016.
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah, 2016 team. That's something that's like it I can remember. It was like in Lofton was on our 2007 team.
Yep.
Yeah. Yes. Yep.
Yes.
And it went full circle.
Lost to Boston. Yep.
Yep.
Roberto Perez, is that random enough since he's been around long enough out of Cleveland?
He got hurt. He's out for like 3 months now, I think.
What was this? The Hall of Shame list that we're doing here? Hall of Shame. What's going on?
A little bit of both.
Next week we'll just have like the worst signings in Cleveland history. Everybody's gotta be ready.
For Ohio,
not the Wayne Bow.
Oh, I thought we were going baseball.
Oh, baseball.
But anyways, guys, that's it for the We Like Sports podcast. Make sure to check us out next Monday, 7 to 8 o'clock. Make sure to check us out on Apple, Google, Spotify, Stitcher, all podcasting platforms tomorrow morning, Tuesday at 8 a.m. And we'll see you guys next week. Thanks for tuning in.
I was going to post my Twitter, but I haven't tweeted in like